waterways here are exceptional value or high quality, which are the highest criteria ratings for our Department of Environmental Protection. So we're very lucky for that. And here at the district, we have an extensive surface water monitoring program, which spans over 20 years of data collection, which I partake in. We monitor our waterways throughout the county by sampling the macroinvertebrate and fish communities, also the water chemistry and the habitat surrounding the stream and in the streams. Today, we are working with one of our partners to discuss how you can monitor the streams in your own backyards and participate in a statewide program with Tara Muenz from Stroud Water Research Center.
So that's the main thrust of our mission. And of course, a big part of our mission is encouraging people to get outside and experience all these really incredible natural resources we have here in Pike County. We are still going to be keeping socially distanced this summer, but we wanted to find a way to explore the outdoors and to experience the beauty of Pike County while still remaining socially distanced. Oh, these are videos. Oh, Zoom. And in order to do that, we are presenting a leaf pack network exploration for this summer. Our exploration has 3 main parts. And the first is, of course, this webinar. So congratulations, if you're already here, you're crushing step 1 of the leaf pack network exploration, you're doing great. So today we're going to be doing an introduction to what leaf pack is with Tara and talk about an introduction as to how to participate in leaf pack network. Next, the second part is a demonstration of the leaf pack in action with our watershed specialist, Rachel. We do macroinvertebrate monitoring, as Rachel said, every spring. So you're going to be able to find us on social media and on our website and watch videos of Rachel actually doing leaf packs out in the streams here in Pike County, so you can see firsthand how it's done. And then number 3, one of the best parts of science, in my opinion, but I'm also a communications person, so who am I, is to share your findings. Talk about what you saw, talk about what you found. You have an opportunity to share with us and have a dialogue with us about what you found, what your group found if you went out as a large group, and where you found it in Pike County, which I think is the most exciting part, of course, but I love talking. So, and you will also have an opportunity to submit your data to a larger citizen science project, which is the Leaf Pack Network at Stroud. And Tara's going to go over that a little bit more in her presentation. And we're going to go over, Rachel and I are going to go over these 3 parts with you a little bit more in detail after Tara's presentation. But the most important thing to us, of course, is that you get out, you explore, you learn, and you see all of the great things that we have here in Pike County. Now, most exciting of all, of course, is our presenter today, Tara Muenz, who is the Assistant Director of Education and the Leaf Pack Network Administrator at Stroud Water Research Center. So here we have some fabulous pictures of the last time Tara was with us, with our watershed specialist, Rachel, and our board member, Kelly, who's on the call today, in our streams here in Pike County. Last time we were all allowed to be together in one place. She is a trained aquatic scientist with 20 years of experience traveling worldwide, helping people with connecting, sustaining, and understanding the plant's resources. And we are so happy and so lucky to have her returning with us today. So I'm going to hand it over to Tara to give us an intro to the Leaf Pack Network.
Thank you. Thanks, Devin. Thanks, Rachel. And it's great to be here with some of you that I've seen before. I recognize a lot of you on here. That's awesome. If you can, type in the chat if any of you have actually monitored already experience with Leaf Pack. And it doesn't have to be with Leaf Pack Network yet, but it can be with Leaf Packs, just monitoring with them, period. Because this is a professional method that was a method before Stroud coined it and packaged it up into a kit. So just wondering if anyone has any experience with that. I guess not seeing anybody yet in the chat showing that. So that's okay. That's great. So this will be a brief little intro. Usually when I give these trainings, it's like a whole day training in leaf pack world. But I'm happy to do trainings too virtually for you. For teachers. I've done last year was doing a whole day teacher professional development too. So if you have any school districts near you, teachers that you want to reach out to, I'm happy to help with that and lead a leaf pack training. We can offer Act 48 credits or hours, and all of that too. So, but we'll take it away from here and I'll go over this brief little presentation probably for the next 30 minutes, breezing through leaf pack and what it is and why we're actually using these packs of leaves. But it's a great program to actually connect people with the land. We usually go out and monitor streams and we're just in that channel and think that's all the stream really is, but it really interacts with everything up on the land. The streamside forests are really important, and that's what we go over in this program, and really connects people to that importance. So I'm gonna take it away. Everybody can see this all right? Thumbs up, Devin. Good, okay, great. Yeah, so I'm known as the Leaf Pack Lady with the Leaf Pack Network. It's a great title, I love it. But I also am a freshwater biologist, got my degree in conservation ecology from University of Georgia, and I've been working in freshwater systems for a long, long time. It just goes by so fast. And this program is really, really wonderful. And I currently am at a Freshwater Research Institute here in southeastern Pennsylvania, Chester County, called Stroud Water Research Center. You can check out our website and you can find me there if you ever want to reach out to us there. We've got a number of tools to mention, but we've been around for 50 years and have staff scientists that have different focus areas in freshwater ecology, which is great from the micro to macro ecosystem level. And it's really sweet. And then we have a education department, which I'm in, which translates their research to the public and disseminates it out so people can understand it and digest it. And then we have a restoration team that plants lots and lots of trees and works with farmers to improve water quality in and around their properties. One of our major toolkits that I'd love to share with you has won a governor's award here in Pennsylvania, is called Wiki Watershed Toolkit. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's at wikiwatershed.org. Leaf Pack Network is one of these tools, and so is the database that you see up above it called Monitor My Watershed. And most of these tools are free or have some, minimum fee, but we have a water quality mobile app there on the bottom right, which is a digital data sheet that has a lot of great learning pop-ups. It is $4.99 for Android and iOS systems. And it actually syncs with Leaf Pack Network right now. So it will have the same metric scoring system. You can enter the data. And eventually we're going to get that mobile app to be able to talk to the database to enter the data through the app. Not yet though. But feel free to check out all those other sites. We're going to probably mention macroinvertebrates.org as well at the end of this webinar. But that's where you can find everything here. So let's dive into Leaf Pack Network. There is a website that you can check out. It's got resources, videos, a YouTube station, and everything you'll see here too is bilingual in Spanish, but we've got a lot on our website. We also have a program called Rock Pack. So if you want to monitor with packs of rocks and learn deeper about net spinning caddisflies, check out that part of our website as well. But diving into Leaf Pack Network, we've been around for over 2 decades. And again, this is a method that's been around for a long, long time to monitor streams and rivers. And I actually used it when I lived in Georgia to monitor for salamander larvae before macroinvertebrates. But it's been around as a biomonitoring tool, so monitoring for living things in the water. And this is focused though on aquatic macroinvertebrates, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's geared for teachers, families, students, people of all ages, although really grades 6 and up can kind of use all the components really well, but you can bring in younger kiddos as well, just into the experiences. It is international, so it's neat because you can have, say, like a pen pal across the world and see what their streams are like and show your students, or just if you're curious. We have a lot of online resources that I will mention, and they're bilingual now in Spanish. That just LeafPack had a big facelift last year that we launched. They're aligned to, if you know, the NGSS standards, science standards, they're aligned to that. We have an e-newsletter that you can subscribe to, and we have workshops and trainings like today. There is a kit that I'll go over with you, but you can find a lot of things in and around your home. But we have, we distribute our kit through the Lamont Company, if you know them, down in Chestertown, Maryland. And then we have this database, which I'll go over, and you can also just Skype with me, do webinars. If you're a teacher, feel free to bring me into your classroom at any time. But there are so many stories from LeafPack around the world utilizing this data actually at many levels. We have a great group in the Amazon that has been using it to protect certain rivers and streams from like Atlantic coastal byways, or not Atlantic, but bi-coastal waterways that run through the Amazon. And we have universities using this also to monitor restoration initiatives and impacts of anything you can think of that might be in and around their stream. And it's good just to go out, check on these streams, and just to see what we call baseline data is. It's just like you getting a health check every year. It's just good to kind of continuously check on these streams across the world and in your own neighborhood, because the state of Pennsylvania has people like Rachel, has other state employees to help check on these rivers, but they can't get to all of them. So that's where we should be empowered to be stewards of the planet and help to adopt these streams and really watch over and take care of them. So we'll get into the methods here in a little bit, but there is a kit, like I mentioned, distributed through the Lamont Company. It's got everything you would want to need that to start with the program, but you can find these items on our website for LeafPack in the resources section. But again, a lot of this you can find in and around your home, you know, plastic spoons or something, a white container to look at the macroinvertebrates, and these mesh bags. And we'll talk about all this in a little bit, but there's that kit if you want. So how did we begin with this idea of monitoring with leaves, and why, you know? So leaves naturally fall in and around our streams, and it's great to have them there. They provide nutrition and a source of energy. And our streams and rivers 200 years ago across Pennsylvania were a very different story. Their forests just covered the entire landscape, and our streams and rivers ran through these very pristine conditions. And that, of course, has changed with colonization and just development. So, but the thing to remember is that something up into the canopy, eventually these leaves are going to fall to the forest floor, but they'll also fall into the stream channel, and really just nourishes the stream, provides habitat, food, energy, all of that. And you'll see these natural leaf packs hanging out in streams, typically right in autumn, but you might see them just little by little across the whole year. But typically in autumn, we get this huge rush of input of energy that supports the river. And I think of it as like the river is hibernating over the winter season. There are macroinvertebrates still alive and well, but this really supports the life to get through the winter almost. But let me take a drink of water here. But every small natural stream should have leaves in it. And what happens is very magical with these little macroinvertebrates, like you see here, this crane fly, is that they find this as a place to hibernate and hang out. And then they also forage off of the leaves, because usually over time, these leaves decompose. They get super slimy with the really great, what we call biofilm, that's full of bacteria, fungus, all kinds of good stuff that these macroinvertebrates want to eat. And then they help as they're eating these leaves to release that energy into the stream. So you probably have seen some leaves like this on the forest floor, but same thing happens in streams. And again, when we're talking about these small streams, typically having this synergy with forests, it's these smaller, what we call order size streams, if you've heard of that. And these types of streams are what are predominantly found in and across the United States, at least in the highest number of our types of mileage of streams, but they're the least protected by law. So again, this is another reason for us to go out and monitor them, because you need to be that voice to kind of stick up for these rivers. But these little ones are the ones that really harbor the most diversity and depend mostly on these trees. But think of the stream as a system that needs energy. I've talked about that. And these leaves are providing that battery, that fuel. And sometimes we call that battery or fuel dissolved organic matter. And when it's especially munched on and that crane fly releases the energy into little particulates in the stream, it does kind of be called dissolved, where you can't really see it. And we also call this watershed tea. So just like you would put a bag of tea in a glass of water or tea and it leaches out nutrition and sometimes minerals and vitamins, same for these leaves. They do the same thing. And every river has their own version of watershed tea. And this is really important because a lot of salmonids or different types of fish that navigate hone in on the tea flavor and smell in their own particular river, so they can migrate to and from the ocean, from where they were born. They use this as a cue to get back to their grounds to spawn, especially if they're coming back to a river to do that. So it's really, really a key thing to have. And it's a great way to teach water chemistry too, if you're a teacher. The leaf pack is found all over the country. We have over 20 different countries engaged in this so far. And of course, most of our leaf packers are found across the state and here in the northeastern part of the country. So let's go into the methods a little bit, which I think most people are interested in, and then we'll take questions. I don't know if there are any questions along the way that anybody had. If Devin or Rachel want to say anything, feel free. But we'll step right into, Devin, did you have anything? Sorry.
Nope, I was just going to say you're all good. Keep going into methods.
Thanks. Well, basically, how do scientists study stream health? And they take a basic approach there. So we look at things just like a doctor would look at you going in for a health checkup. The doctor doesn't just look at you and say, your eyes look amazing, we'll see you later, although that would be fantastic, right? To not be poked and prodded. We have to do the same thing with the stream and river. You have to look at them from a number of different approaches and angles. And there are thousands of things that we could study in a river to understand its health. But these are kind of the three main components. There's like a radioactive component too that I didn't put up here. But when you go out to do leaf pack, we're just simply going to ask you to take maybe air or water temperature if you are able. But of course, you can do more if you want. You can simply also get a clear plastic glass and look at a plastic glass if you wanted to look at the water color. Is it orange? Is it clear? Is it milky and foggy colored? Is there an odor to the water? So there's a lot of things you can just do, hone in visually that are nice and easy when you're doing a stream check. But there are so many things, and we're going to be approaching leaf pack strongly through biological means. So we're looking at the living critters, and these are also called indicators. They indicate the health of the environment. So fish are an indicator, freshwater mussels, certain kinds of bacteria and plants. And again, we're going to check in with the critters called macroinvertebrates. And they're one of my favorites. I came from a marine science background studying coral reefs and marine turtles. And so this was really interesting to me to come into this world as well. But I've really grown to appreciate them being these sentinels of the environment. And they have been studied for almost 100 years. We know a lot about them, and they're called benthic freshwater macroinvertebrates. Benthic, you find them inhabiting the bottom of the stream. We're not looking for any of those that are going to be on the surface. You may see some of them on the surface, but that's not what we're going to be aiming for. And we'll tell you why in a minute. And of course, they're only based in freshwater. If you try to go to a marine system, you would find a different community of these critters. Macro, we can see them relatively easy, although some are tiny. Some are as tiny as your eyelash, and then some are as big as your thumb. And then invertebrates, unlike us, they don't have a backbone, so they have really, really interesting ways at which they keep their bodies together and support them. But they are like canaries in the coal mine. They have been studied extensively. We know their sensitivities to pollution and who we should find in a healthy stream and who you probably won't. And this is a short little small diagram of, or table of different sensitivity groups. And this shifts depending on where you are in the country and in the world. So there are 3 sensitivity groups here. From the far left are the ones that are really sensitive, and this is typically to oxygen levels and based off oxygen levels. So things like mayflies, stoneflies, riffle beetles, and certain kinds of snails, you'll find wanting really, really highly oxygenated, cool streams and rivers. On the far right, we find those that can take a little bit more stress, maybe higher temperatures, less oxygen, higher pollutants. And that's some of the things that you probably know of, like planaria, or our favorite, the leeches, which actually are really, really cool critter, some aquatic worms and more. And those are all really tiny. And then we've got those critters in the middle of the road that tend to be a little bit more sensitive than more tolerant, but they're in the middle. And so when we're in a stream or river doing a health check or health assessment, we want to find in a really healthy stream a little bit of everybody, but of course err on the side of finding more of those sensitive, somewhat sensitive. If we're in a stream and we come up with only the tolerant critters, that is a very obvious message that something's going on, whether there may be not good enough habitat for them to live in, not enough food, or the water quality itself is very poor and stressed. So they're great for that. And that's what we're going to be using in our leaf pack monitoring. So there will be a data sheet that goes along with this program that you can print out. There are also online versions. The water quality app also has this. And you'll be checking off, or you can actually put the abundance levels of what you find in these 3 different categories that we just went over. And the very last thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing a pollution tolerance index score, which is like our water quality rating, or you can think of it as like a report card or a health checkup. And you're going to rate this stream from poor, fair, good, excellent condition. And again, there's an online version of this too. So here's a quick run through of the methods, and then we'll go into some of these layers deeply. First, you're going to select a stream site. And I know Devin and Rachel can help you find a good site so that's safe, accessible. You want something that's going to be somewhat shallow, wadable, only up to your knees. Really don't want to get you too deep. You want a good riffle, those fast moving areas. Typically, you can actually hear the water moving. They're just beautiful areas of streams, and that's where you're going to be putting these packs. So that's an important part, is to identify that site. You're going to make these packs, or you can just make one, or we're going to talk about leaf pack light with you, where you can just flip some rocks and see who's out there. You don't have to do this particular method, but you'll stuff these onion sacks with native leaves found in and around your watershed, or in and around the stream. And you can dry them just by laying them out on a table, but there is a little bit of prep to making the packs. But you'll make them, you'll fill them, and then you'll place them in the stream. And you'll place them there for 3 to 4 weeks. You'll check on them hopefully every week to see and make sure that they're there. And there are some tools and tips to actually anchoring them in, which I'll go over, and making sure that they don't float away in those 3 to 4 weeks. So after you've marked your calendars, set a date to go back out, you'll retrieve the packs, and you will try to bring a lot of supplies with you, even these forms that you'll fill out along the way. And you can sort and ID your macroinvertebrates found in the packs that have colonized right by the stream if you want, or you can take them back to, say, like an indoor lab, your garage, or take them back home. But there's some ways to do that safely so that the macroinvertebrates survive, because we're going to return them live, and you don't want to hold onto them very long, because they are sensitive to temperatures and things. Then you'll fill out again that data sheet. And if you can submit the data, you can probably submit it to Pike County, and Devin and Rachel could enter it for you as well, or you can enter it yourself. So let me see what some of the comments or questions are. So
I was gonna say, Tara, we do have one great question. Why do the leaves need to be dried if we were just gonna put them in the stream?
Yeah, so this being a method where we want to keep all the scientific processes aligned and the same, we want all the leaves to be at the same point of like decomposition, because in a stream, it'll take them a while to decompose and to get colonized by all that yummy biofilm and stuff. So drying them, and then that gives us also pretty much a better weight distribution to measure them, so that they're all actually from the same point, also from being dried. It's just basically getting them all to the same phase of decomposition. So when we dry them, when we weigh them, it's all essentially the same thing. And it's not like this leaf has a little bit more water in it, might throw the weights off. So we want all our packs to be the same weights. And that will help us with making sure our data is credible, because a lot of this is going to be going into a database. We want to make sure all the methods are aligned and followed, and we have a strategy or strategery for this. So hopefully that answers your question. If we put them in and you can pick green leaves off the tree and then dry them. But again, it takes them a while to decompose and to get to that point where you can monitor with them. So drying them also helps us so that you can just put them out for 3 to 4 weeks and not have to wait a couple months for the packs. So that's another reason. Very good questions.
And then we have 2 more. What if you're not so good at identifying trees?
Yeah.
Genuine concern.
So it is good. Like, you can go out and just do some basic monitoring with them, and just try your hand at putting in dried leaves. It is good to try to do this. There are some really good, especially in Pennsylvania, we have some really good keys from Extension Service has a great one. The Leaf Pack Network comes with one. You can find maybe a buddy to help you. There's some great apps now that can help you identify leaves, but I get it. I've even taken dendrology courses and I'm still like, what is this again? So just do your best, and maybe this first round you can try to outline the leaf and then try to identify it as best as you can, and let's see, how do you weigh them? There is a scale that comes with the kit, but you can also buy it. It's like only $2 or $3, and it's just a little scale. You put a cup on it and you tare it, so you get it to 0, put in the leaves, and you do that. But we've also had it where you just do a dry mass, so you can fill your cup as much as you can without crumbling the leaves too much, and try to just eyeball it if you aren't able to weigh them exactly. So yeah, let's see. The fishing license, yeah, we'll cover that at the end, because that's an important piece in Pennsylvania, at least. Every state's different. Great questions. Okay, so just to let you know, if you are missing anything here, there are Leaf Pack videos and ways to connect with us. We have methods, videos on our YouTube station. So check those out. We just launched those last summer. We have a Facebook page too, where you can post questions. You can always email me. And then we also have videos with macroinvertebrates. So if you want to watch them and try to identify and practice identifying, we have a quiz playlist of macroinvertebrates, and then we have ones with actual IDs. So there's a lot there on our YouTube station. And you can subscribe, to our e-newsletter. So these are the field data sheets that you're going to want to print. Again, these are bilingual in Spanish, where you're going to simply put in a lot of information, as much as you know about your site, the latitude, longitude, what watershed you might be in, the site code you'll develop on your own when you enter it into the database. Then you have sections for your placement data when you put the packs out. So you're just collecting air and water temperature when you do that, and the number of packs that you put out. and then what's inside the packs and their general idea of weights. And then when you go back out, hopefully you'll collect all the same data. Hopefully you'll have retrieved the same number of packs. I've gone out and I have come back with 0. And that was a big learning moment for me, becoming the leaf pack lady expert that I am. But there's a lot here too to collect information on storm events, because that will affect your leaf packs too, and what may or may not have colonized. So lots of great data. You can do a site sketch too. This is great for people to do, so you know where you put your packs, because it might look pretty obvious when you put them out there, but when you come back, those things probably have gotten really mucky. They've probably turned some colors, and it might be hard to find them again. So it's good to do a little sketch of where you put them out. So let's get deeper into some of the methods here. So selecting a site to monitor, again, you can work with the conservation district to do this. Small wadable stream is what we're really aiming for. And you put these packs out any time of year, but the best time is really right now in the spring, probably up into late May, and then again in the fall. And that's when the species diversity is the best. And it's as these macroinvertebrates have gone through that metamorphosis, their life cycle change, and it's best, we find the most in those seasons here in PA at least. Oh boy. So lots of considerations, right? A lot of these are probably obvious to you, but make sure that it's just safe to get in. Luckily, you don't have to worry about alligators and rattlesnakes up here. I did have to in Georgia. It's tough. Make sure it's just legal access. Look before you enter the stream. There's usually a lot of multiflora, some thorny stuff. Just be careful. Make sure you've got a first aid kit, that someone knows that you're going out. Try to go out with someone else and not just go solo. And then make sure your feet are really covered when you go out. No flip-flops, something covering your toes, maybe also supporting your ankles. And don't go in the water if the water levels are rising, especially after a storm, or if there is any question or doubt in your mind about sources of pollution that might impact your health. So if you have an autoimmune condition, just make sure you protect yourself. You might want to wear gloves as you go out too. So, and we'll get into the permits here, where the Fish and Boat Commission, which is our state agency that regulates all of this, considers aquatic macroinvertebrates as fish bait. And therefore you need some type of fishing license if you're 16 years or older. Okay, if you're 16 years and younger, you don't need a fishing license to handle the macroinvertebrates. But again, this is assuming you are returning them live. And so if you're a teacher, there are certain exemptions to getting, all of your students a fishing license if your teacher has it. So you can apply for a educational exemption permit through Fish and Boat. Okay. And you can always contact Fish and Boat for more questions about this too. So making the packs, again, we're trying to simulate what we find naturally out in the stream and to attract the macroinvertebrates. Again, there's a video on this particular phase of the methods. You're going to go out. If you haven't in the autumn collected leaves, that's totally fine, but we're aiming for native trees here. You can also do an experiment though, put plastic bottles inside. But for this particular initiative, we're aiming for you to use native trees, and you can even use a little bit of native shrub in there too. I went a little crazy and dried some one fall, but just to have a stash, you don't have to do this, but you can get leaves, and it's nice to get them from your local area and trying not to spread any disease between watersheds. And again, Rachel and Devin can probably help you with this part. Placing the packs, you're going to want to put them in a riffle area, again, not above your knees. You're going to want to anchor them in. So we have a whole video on this too. And they're going to, again, you want them to be placed so that they are completely submerged underwater for that entire 3 to 4 week period. And so they're going to decompose, get slimy, be colonized by macroinvertebrates. And you want to anchor them in so they're not bopping up and down in the water column, that they're kind of staying put, just like a leaf pack is pressed against a rock by a riffle naturally. So there's several ways to do this. One, you can try to put a rock inside the pack itself and then tie it to another big rock in the stream. I have failed at this one, so I don't recommend this one as highly as I do, this is a huge rock. But if you have a big storm, these little rivers and streams, they flood really quickly and then they go back down really fast. And that is a lot of momentum and energy and can wash away your packs. I recommend using a rebar where you just tap it into the stream bed and then you tie your leaf packs to each separately to that rebar or snow pole, and then put a rock on one end of the leaf pack to keep it in place, and voila. And that really has never failed me at all. You might have some leaves that kind of gather a little bit more around the string of this, but that's okay. So after you've placed it, you want to take water temperature, air temperature, take some data with your data sheets, and then check on these every few weeks. Mark your calendar and then come back again 3 to 4 weeks later, and you'll want to bring a bunch of supplies with you. There's videos on this as well. And you can do all this sorting stream side. And this is where everything really becomes alive though, and so exciting, where you can see what colonized, who is there in the community of that stream. Is it healthy or not? So again, there are 2 videos to help you go through these phases a little bit deeper, but we recommend everything white so you can see the macroinvertebrates better. And this sorting and ID, you're going to open the or the leaf pack bag, pull out some of the leaves, rinse out that bag, use creek water always to sort all this stuff, and just sort little by little small batches of leaves. And you're going to use that plastic spoon, a paintbrush to kind of pull and tease away the leaves. And then there are ways to kind of organize it. So this is in Costa Rica, where we pull it out, little packs of leaves, and then we're going to fill all those pans with water, and then we're going to divide and conquer. And it's nice to have a team to help you to do this, because it could take a long time if you have a healthy stream. With the kit, there is a really nice waterproof, tear-proof Tavlex sorting sheet where you can put Petri dishes on each of these circles with some creek water inside and put your bugs there that you've identified along the way. You can use our ID. We have an ID manual and guide that you can use. And you can set up a table kind of like this if you'd like, where the team just kind of tackles and starts looking at what's in their pans and pulling out macroinvertebrates. So again, yeah, we have this dichotomous key that's really, really helpful to walk you through. The water quality app can be helpful. We'll show you a few other sites that are great for keys as well. And then you're going to just check off what you find and come up with that final pollution tolerance index rating there in number 6 of poor, fair, good, or excellent. So this is kind of like the final exciting round here, is just to see what the health and water quality is like. As I mentioned, there is an app to use. Water quality is what it's called. And there's also another app I forgot to put up here that is with the Isaac Walton League. There's also a few others that you can look into. So sorry about all that. Once you're done, you'll enter data into the Monitor My Watershed portal by just adding yourself and creating an account. And you can get to this also through the LeafPack Network website by clicking data. And in that portal, again, you'll sign up. You can also just look at sites that are already there. And you can click on LeafPack and you can see what sites are there. This was taken a long time ago. Sorry, there aren't many sites there. And it'll find you can find some sites and you can click and view the data a little bit more. And the data entry looks just like the data sheets. So you'll put in all the stuff from your field data sheet. You'll enter everything as is, all your storm events, if you had any, and all the macroinvertebrates that you found. And the data portal will also graph things for you, which is really great. So these are all those 3 sensitivity groups. And right away, you can see what your percentages are. It'll actually do some more calculations, basic calculations for you about the health of your river. And also we'll put all those different, what we call taxonomic groups, those individual kinds of macroinvertebrates graphed all in one graph for you so you can see what you most have. So this is a great visual as well to keep track of your data. And one site that I really would love to mention, this is from a webinar I did, is macroinvertebrates.org. This is a great site that we worked on at Stroud Center with Carnegie Mellon University and National Science Foundation grant. And this is a resource for your identification. And just for fun, they're 3D gigapan images of macroinvertebrates that you can surf and drive into. There's a key there as well that helped develop gallery of images, posters, more information. If you want to teach about macroinvertebrates, there's a trainer's deck, and there's some really great other tools and tutorials about macroinvertebrates. So check out macroinvertebrates.org.
I just want to say that Rachel and I both have the rat card hanging in our offices because it's so good. It's so good looking. It's so pretty. It's so nice. It's really a great resource.
Oh, good. So that was a short and sweet. There's a lot there, but I think Devin and Rachel can take it from there. Were there any other questions about, looks like we're good on questions, right? Okay.
Yep. Anybody else before we switch over? All right.
Thank you so much, Tara. That was excellent.
Yes, thank you, Tara. That was really wonderful, and it was a great introduction. We're going to be talking now about specifically the Pike County Conservation District's exploration for this summer. And before we get into the details of that, I just wanted to remind everyone that we also have an environmental education grant available, and the applications are open now. It's a $500 mini grant for teachers and classrooms or youth organizations to do projects that complement the mission of the district. And so if you're thinking about doing a leaf pack, macroinvertebrate, water quality type study, that would be an excellent candidate for this grant. So before we get into the details, I just wanted to remind everyone that that is available. All right. So specifically what we are doing this summer is an exploration of the leaf pack network. What is that? So I'm going to go through some of the details of what that means. So we designed this exploration for this summer specifically for teachers, for families, and for community associations. So anyone that would like to go out in a larger group and learn about what leaf pack network is and learn about macroinvertebrates and how they relate to water quality. But this is also our first year doing this. And leaf pack network is amazing, but it's a lot of data collection. So we wanted to allow this first year just to be a year where everyone can conduct their research and their exploration at their own pace. You can choose an individual location. As I said at the beginning, we're still aiming for a goal of socially distanced. So you can conduct at your own pace. You can do it in your own individual location, and you can really learn the steps of identification, the steps of building your leaf pack and collecting that data as more of an introduction to Stroud's leaf pack network, so that in the future you can participate as a citizen scientist and get really an idea of what it is and really conduct your own research. Oh, and there we have a really nice picture of the layout with all of the Petri dishes, which I think is just really, really fabulous and really interesting. So how do you participate in the exploration? Very simple, you go explore. We didn't make the instructions really hard for everybody. So this can be as simple as Tara said, going out into a stream and gently turning over rocks, not even making the leaf packs. You can go out into a stream and you can, as I said, gently, we always want to respect the habitat that we're entering. So make sure that as you go out into the streams and you turn over rocks and you lift up leaves that are already in the stream, you're always putting things back where you found them, and you're always being as gentle as possible. And you're most likely going to still find some really great macroinvertebrates. We encourage you to make the leaf packs, to go explore, to find your macroinvertebrates and share them with us. Tell us what you found. We want to know what you guys are seeing out there because we do this professionally, but we also want to know how your exploration is going and what you're finding and where you're finding it. In order to do that, you can share images with us on social media. It's a great way for us to have a dialogue and to have an open conversation with everyone about what you're finding in the streams. And here you can see a sample post. I believe those are Rachel's hands holding a couple different macros that she found in a stream. And as you can see, I tagged, this is a Facebook post. So on Facebook, when you make a post, make sure you type out at Pike Conservation, all one word, into your post so that we can know that we got tagged and we can go out there and see your picture. If you'd rather go on Instagram, you can tag us at Pike_conservation, or you can use our hashtag LPN exploration, and we'll be monitoring that over the summer as well. And if you have questions about what you found, or you just want to show off what you found, or you want to talk to us about whether it's sensitive, whether what you found is an indicator of good water quality, or so on and so forth, we'd be happy to have that conversation with you. That's what we're looking for in this exploration. And
Devin,
yes.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, before you change the slide, I want you to stay on this slide for a minute.
Mm-hmm. And then there we just have a really great quote from DEP, which is to properly protect the ecological integrity of streams, you must assess them correctly, which is what we are trying to share with everyone, is how we can explore and assess our stream quality. All right, Rachel.
So just a little quiz for anyone that might know macroinvertebrates. Does anyone know any of those three critters in the hands there in the photograph?
Oh, snap.
Go ahead and type in the chat.
You didn't know you were going to be quizzed today. Rachel threw in a twist. I'm going to go to the next slide, but I'm going to wait here a second. These big guys. I will say these are my favorites. The guy all the way to the left. I know you're not supposed to pick favorites, but that's fine.
Yeah, that can be a little hint. The adult stage of this is hanging on Tara's wall today.
Yes.
That's
very
a good
subtle.
guess. We got a good guess. We got a Hellgrammite. Good guess. The one in the middle looks like a Hellgrammite. It is not though, but it looks similar. I'll go ahead and break the suspension here. So to the far left, we have the dragonfly nymph, which grows up to be that beautiful creature with big, strong wings on Tara's wall. We have one type of stonefly in the middle and a different family of stonefly off to the top right. So there's a lot of beautiful diversity and color patterns on these critters. So really, really encourage you to get out there and enjoy them.
Great. And I'm going to hand it over to Rachel to talk a little bit about what you'll need and data collection.
So if you would like to go a little more in depth with LeafPak Network, such as collecting data, Tara touched on how you can do that in your stream. She mentioned the Monitor My Watershed portal, and all the info you would need to do that is on the LeafPak Network's website. And in the future, there's a good possibility that the Pike County Conservation District will host a full LeafPak Network training, we hope, in the future. So that's something to keep your eye on, keep following us on social media to keep aware of what we have coming around the bend. And regardless if you're collecting data or not, these are some of the supplies that you'll definitely need, whether you're making a LeafPak or even if you're just exploring these macroinvertebrates in your stream by hand. And this is to reiterate some of what Tara already said, but you definitely need to wear comfortable shoes that can get wet. Me personally, I like boots. I like to wear muck boots. And it's even a good idea if you have chest waders or hip waders, because sometimes you get a wave in the water and you'll get splashed. And definitely that you can have traction so you're not slipping. So no flip-flops. We want traction and grip in our shoe soles. It's really important that you pick a site that is safe to access, safety first, and that you're legally allowed to be there, which will go in more depth in another slide. But remember, when you're choosing your site, to reiterate Tara, you want to make sure it's shallow, wadeable, and a good riffle. You know, you hear that swishing water going past the rocks, mixing up the oxygen. You want to have some kind of container to put your macros in. Either you're looking by hand or when you grab your pack out. There's so many things you can use. You can use the 5-gallon bucket that they sell at hardware stores. You can use plastic Tupperware. And then as you're going through and picking through what different critters you have, a regular ice cube tray that's like a bright white color is perfect. So just these household objects can really be used for exploring macros. You want something to touch them gently with, because the goal is to put these useful denizens of the streams back safely and alive. So you can use other household items like paint brushes, even an old toothbrush, plastic spoons, things that are really gentle to be moving them around. And then to learn about identification, there's the macroinvertebrates.org site, which is great. There are apps for your phone that exist. Then there's also the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission macroinvertebrate identification key. And we have links to all this stuff in the chat, and we'll throw that out in the emails as well when we send out the recording. So there's so many resources. Citizen stream monitoring is a real hot thing the last few decades. There's just every year there's more and more resources out there to do that. So legal tips. Safety is always first. We talked about the right shoe wear, being careful where you're walking, how you're walking, being careful of how fast the stream is, how deep it is. But then also legally, in Pike County, we have a lot of private property. So it's ideal if you have a stream going through your own yard, or a friend or a neighbor or a family member, someone you personally know, that would be the easiest to go back for repeated collection and monitoring. But let's say you don't. Most likely it would be fine if you were to go to your municipality's public park, and a lot of our parks in Pike County do have streams going through. It looked like Roman Park in Shahola Township had the stream going through. Acconeck Park and Dingman's has a stream going through. You might want to just reach out to your municipality and just double check, is it okay if I put a stake in the ground? If you're going to do the full leaf pack network protocol and you're going to leave that stake in there for 3 to 4 weeks, you kind of want to let someone know. But most likely, if you're just turning over rocks and you're just out about one afternoon with your kids, that's totally fine to just be out there as long as you have your fishing license. You need that fishing license. There's a picture of my fishing license on the screen there. It's very easy to do that online. They have it now where you can actually even just print it right there. You can pay for it online and print it out right there online. So it's really easy. The Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission website takes you to a separate website where you do that transaction, and we'll include that link later. You can always reach out to us if you have questions. If you're a teacher with your students, you can get the fishing license, and that would cover your whole class if your students are under the age of 18 or 16, I believe. And when you go to the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission website, which we included here for doing any kind of stream monitoring, there's a clause in there about what to do if you are a teacher and what you need to do to make sure you are all set to be doing this the correct way. And all of these rules and regulations kind of seem, oh, it's bogging us down. They really are in place to make sure people are acting appropriately in our streams, keeping things safe. We have natural trout populations reproducing in our streams here. We just want to make sure that people are doing the right things and treating our streams with respect. So it's all good. The money you're putting into these things are going back into conservation. So it's all good. And yep, I think that's everything for that slide.
All right, so that is the end of our presentation. Do we have any more questions in the chat? And there you can see my information, Devin George, our watershed specialist, Rachel, and Tara there at the bottom. And we will also be sending this information out in the email to those who registered. So if you have any follow-up questions, if later tonight you're stewing on a question that you didn't think of, you can always send them out later. Oh, there we go. I am not. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. I'm going to give everyone one more minute in case anyone's mid-typing. Don't panic. I'll give you a sec.
And I'd like to add something about finding a stream site. I got ahead of myself. I didn't add everything I wanted to say. Many of our schools have streams going right through the property. So if you're a teacher and you're not sure about your property, you can always ask your administration, your principal, if there's a stream going through your property. A lot of the schools here in Pike County do, and elsewhere if there's people joining from elsewhere. So that's really excellent if your kids can just go right outside on school property. And then also, whether you're a family in a community association or you're on a board of a community association, very often they have streams going through that are on the common property of the community association. So you could reach out to your community association and ask them to have permission to do your leaf pack network study and do your stream monitoring there.
All right, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. So just real quick before we go, I wanted to remind everyone that we also have a Japanese knotweed webinar coming up for property owners and homeowners in the beginning of May. And you can find all of that information on our website, pikeconservation.org. And we want to thank Tara one more time for joining us today. She did a really great job, and we really appreciate this introduction.
Nice to be with you all. Thanks so much. I know it was a lot. Reach out anytime.
All very exciting stuff. All right, so thank you all for being here, and we'll see you at the next event. Bye-bye.
Rachel and Devin, did you want to stay on real quick? Just
Sure.
chat.
That was great, Tara. You did a great job of summarizing everything that goes into that. You didn't miss anything.
Too much. It's too much, but hopefully
A lot.
it. All right. Yeah, I think it's just us. Great job, you two as well. It'll be fun. Yeah. We'll see like where to. And if there's anything to support, it was awesome. There were a couple folks from conservation districts that I knew, like Laura, she's like going out tomorrow to do leaf pack.
Oh,
Cool.
oh, that's so cool.
So,
yeah. I didn't realize.
She's like, this is great. Good time, because I couldn't go out with her. And I was like, yeah, this is perfect. So
Nice.
very clear. Well, great. Just wanted to say thanks and see if anything like came up